Everyone knows that if you want to score well in golf, the most important thing is to master the short game. So today we're talking all about throwing putters to figure out which ones are best. So recently I've been bagging 5 different putter molds for throwing putters alone, which feels like a lot, 6 if you include my putting putters. So we're coming into Liberty, short wooded course to throw putters only, to figure out which discs overlap, which need to stay, which are really beneficial to my game. We're starting off right here behind me at hole 1. This is a short par 3, 229 feet, little hyzer, moving right to left. So we're gonna be throwing inner cores, zones, and MVs. Now the inner cores seem to be the straightest for me, for sure, the most neutral. They push straight. The white one, the base plastic, is a little flippier, so that's the slot they tend to fill for me. The zones, of course, on the other end of that spectrum, the most flippy, although this base plastic jawbreaker one is much more neutral. The MVs seem to sit somewhere in between. I have one stable and one more neutral in these different plastics. So what I want to see is how much overlap there is in these 3 different molds, if I really need all 3 of them, or if I can make do with 2 or even just one of them. All right, so not my 6 best throws in the world, but that did kind of confirm something for me, which is exactly what I thought. In each of those slots, I have one disc that's a little more overstable, one that's a little more neutral. I think the overlap is gonna come between my neutral zone, my stable MV, my more stable inner core, and my more understable MV. So it's gonna be some of those spots where I think I'll see the most overlap. Now I'm not playing for score out here, but anecdotally, my soft MV, straightest MV, happened to be the closest. Hole 2, 248 foot par 3. This is a left to right moving shot, so I'm gonna try all of these discs on the forehands, even the flippy ones, just to see how they feel, how they react. Now also, I have the Zone OS in the bag, so we're gonna add that into this hole as well, just for that added layer of beef, and hey, after all, it's still a zone. Pretty good results with all 3 zones. Obviously forehand is not my strong suit, but those were all pretty serviceable. Man, you can just see how much those MVs flipped up on me, even putting them on a ton of hyzer, a little bit of flake. That's gonna be a huge difference to me between the zones and the MVs, their ability to handle the forehand, and especially the forehand torque. Some of that could be my bad form, I own that, but at least for my game, that's a huge difference. Let's try and flick the inner cores. Once again, similar result to the MV, flipped up, pushed so straight, really hard for me to achieve this hole, this left to right moving shot on the forehand. Now with those inner cores, probably I should have backhanded them and get the turnover shot, probably would have been more serviceable, but I was curious to see how they handled that forehand torque. So at the beginning of this video, I said that I bag 5 different throwing putter molds, and that's true. I also bag a Berg and a Proxy, but for the sake of today's challenge, we're just sticking with those 3. Maybe I'll shoot out these other 2 in a later video. Let me know if you'd like to see that in the comments down below. All right, this is a great demonstration of the difference in stability between my 3 zones. You can see here on the ground in front of us, Zone OS, zone there in the middle, then the jawbreaker zone is right under the basket, the Jawbreaker Zone takes the point for the closest to the pin. And here we go, hole 3, par 3, 378, straight down the tunnel, finishes a little bit on the left. Traditionally not a hole I would ever throw putters on, but because it's a pretty open straight shot, this will give me a chance to see what kind of distance I get out of these putters, how hard they finish, if I can keep them onto a tight fairway, what it looks like to flex them, all the interesting things I gotta know. Here we go, zone's up first. Oh, it's in the drain. So stable. Let's try to get freaky. Okay, a little low. Not a bad shot on the flex. It ended up going pretty straight for me. Just didn't get a ton of distance. Let's try the Jawbreaker Zone. Interesting. Envies. Pulled it a little bit to the right, caught some trees, kicked left. Let's go flippy envy. Okay, you know what? We're gonna redo that. That's not helpful. All right, that kind of throw does not give me any usable information on how this disc flies. So since we're not keeping score out here, let's do a mulligan. Much better. And that's actually interesting because that disc got out on turn and held the turn. It didn't really fight out of it. Let's go inner course. Just so straight. Tiny bit of flip up on the hyzer, dead straight. Base plastic inner core. Okay, pulled it a little right, but it was on hyzer, it was flipping up, and it was drifting right. So that does helps me confirm my assumption of the understability. All right, so possibly a more helpful test on this hole will be the upshot. So we've brought all our discs back here to the middle position. We're gonna use our Atlas Scout to see how far away from the hole we are. Not sponsored, but they did send this out to me. A huge thanks to Atlas and to the Scout rangefinder. It's pretty sick. All right, so we're 206 feet out, which should be a really great test to see the stability and the approaching ability of these discs. We'll start our way most stable down, zones up first. So stable. Let's go get freaky. All right. Jawbreaker Zone. Okay, that was looking so good though. I mean, let's try a Fission Envy. Yeah, that should be nice. Should be nice. Cosmic Electron, straight and Envy. Get moving left. Woo! Not enough hyzer, a little too straight, combination of the both. Let's go inner core. I mean, not a good throw, to be fair. Last inner core, base plastic. Yeah, that one's even gonna be a little deep, not bad. All right, so the two envies get the closest. You can see my Electron one here, my Fission one there, the inner core, flippy inner core, the base one is just a little long. Interesting perspective on that throw though. I think the discs that were more overstable, think Zone OS, think regular Zone, I just didn't trust the Annie enough on them. The two envies just feel, because they're kind of right in the middle road, probably the easiest to control for me. And on a shot like this, those inner cores, while I can get them to go straight, the angle manipulation feels a little bit touchy. So trying to get enough hyzer to get them to move left, but not so much that they just dump left, it's a challenge. So overall on this hole for that approach, I feel like those envies were the sweet spot. And welcome to hole 4. This is a 240-foot uphill, right to left, moving, straight to hyzer finish shot. This will be our last hole for this video. I feel like I'm collecting some good data. I'm confirming some things that I already thought I knew, but we're gonna go ahead and throw this one out, see how it goes. We're going most stable to least stable, zone OS up first. Just get freaky. Jawbreaker zone. Wow, that was way nicer than I expected. That held straight way longer than I expected, which is so interesting. Vision Envy. Oh, I just got over on it. Just got over on it. Electron, neutron, what is this? Cosmic Electron Soft Envy. Okay, just dead straight the whole way. Pretty much no finish before the hill ate it up. Inner core. I think I'm gonna have to give this a lot of height and a lot of hyzer. I gave it medium height and no hyzer. Base plastic inner core. Woo! Okay. Okay, that was nice though. Right hyzer, inside line, flipped up a little, pushed straight, finished softly. That might be CTP. Okay, so here's your spread. You can see Jawbreaker Zone, base plastic, inner core, and then back there just a little bit, my flippy Envy, my soft electron Envy. So, overall, Jawbreaker Zone, base plastic inner core got the closest. Now I think part of that is I just threw them the best, but what I will say is interesting about this hole, because I was throwing uphill, throwing something a little flippier actually wasn't as detrimental as I thought it would be. In fact, two of my flippier discs ended up closest to the pin. So here's what we learned. Working from most overstable to most understable, we have the Zone OS, the Get Freaky Zone, the Jawbreaker Zone, then the Fission Envy, then the Electron Soft Envy, the premium inner core, then the baseline inner core, which actually lays out exactly how I thought it was going to. Now, when I look at these discs in front of me and I look at the footage of those holes that we threw, it's definitely apparent that there's a lot of overlap in these discs here on the table, especially considering that I also have a Proxy in the bag, which if you don't know, this is a very neutral throwing putter, and most of the time I'm also bagging a Berg. So where I think I see the most overlap would be between my flippy Envy, my Proxy, and the premium inner core. I think these three all do something kind of similar for me. Now, of course, the inner core is the most flippy of these three by far, but with the baseline inner core, it's just that touch more flippy, which I tend to prefer in this slot. When we're talking about just neutral, straight flying, really any of these three discs could do the job. What I will say though is that the Proxy has been what I've been throwing most. Even with all these in the bags, 9 times out of 10, I just seem to be reaching for the Proxy when I want to throw the disc straight. So for the sake of this bag, right now, the Proxy is staying, the baseline inner core is staying. That's gonna be my flippy, that's gonna be my neutral. Now, let's talk about some overstability. My Jawbreaker Zone, my Fission Envy pretty much do the exact same thing. What I will say though, is the Zone just feels so much better in the hand for me for the forehand. The Envy feels so much better in the hand for the backhand. Why that is, I don't know. Maybe it's just the way the rim fits in my fingers, but that's just how it seems to be. The Get Freaky Zone and the Fission Zone are also not too crazy far off. Obviously, the Get Freaky, more overstable. The Fission Envy, I think I said Fission Zone. Fission Envy has a little bit more glide, but really between these three discs, once again, quite a bit of overlap. I could probably do without the Fission Envy if I really wanted to cut down on molds and just take Envies totally out of my bag and fill that slot with the zones, of course, with the Zone OS for the super beef. So that gives me 3 different variations of beef, one disc for dead straight neutrality, and we didn't even throw this disc on the course. I just know what it does. If you'd like to see a more detailed video on this disc, let me know down below. And of course, we have the baseline inner core for our turnover flippy putter shot. I would love to know what discs make your bag, what are your favorite throwing putters, and specifically how many do you bag? How many different molds, how many different variations of different plastics of the same mold? What is the optimal number? Hey, I appreciate you guys hanging out, checking out the channel, like and subscribe if you want to. My name's Andrew Wood, and remember, the journey is the destination. I'll catch you in the next one.